Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. Just sitting outside my house, and it's a beautiful day in Idaho today. And I thought I would just say hello. Let's see here. And so I was thinking about some things. One of my friends I did a healing for a bit ago, and his healing process has made me reflect on how things went for me doing manifestation work and some other people I've worked with, and what I've observed with them and with my friends and other individuals we've done that work with. And it's been interesting to note the process of manifestation, like working with the law of attraction or practicing magic to improve one's circumstances, whether it's to make more money or get a new relationship or just overall live a better life. And those things work, but I've noted that it takes time. And of course, there's no true average in a sense. Everyone's individual, so it'll be a little different for everyone, but I've observed that from the moment you really start putting your attention there and focusing consistently on manifesting what you want for yourself and a better life, it's about 8 months before you really start seeing meaningful results. Maybe some people it happens faster for them, but at least that's what I've observed. And it's important to note that, because sometimes I feel results are expected very quickly, or when we don't get them over the weekend, we give up. Or even after a few months, we give up. And I think it's important to really decide for yourself that there's living a good life is your only option, and to not let go of that idea so easily, even when especially when it's really hard and you're really struggling. And having faith in the process and in yourself. And I share all that because that's how it's been for me, at least. And it's reflecting on what actually worked for me and got those results, and what got results for the people that I work with and that I've helped. And kind of adjacent to the subject is energy healings. Whether you receive energy healings to work on your auric health or to help create a result for yourself. There's a lot of things that can be achieved with healings, and I've done a few healings. I don't usually truly dig deep and shift things around for most people. That tends to happen with friends where, they're in front of me in person and I have a few hours to really have at and address what's going on in their soul as well as the aura. But when I've had the opportunity to do that, it began the shift, and their life wasn't resolved immediately. It was things slowly moving into place over that 6 to 8 month period. So I hope that perhaps reassures people to allow yourself that 6 months to a year to start seeing that transformation. Things often happen slowly. Again, I don't want to limit things too much, because sometimes things do drop out of nowhere. Sometimes things happen very fast, but when you're trying to achieve a total transformation of your life and who you are, allow yourself that time to change, and allow the universe and the world time to shift all of the people, circumstances, timing, and etc. to set things up to guide you to your highest and into good situations for you. And I know it's something that's said a lot. Oh, you know, everything needs to shift and so on. The people, places, things, situations. But it really is true. All these things being moved just so that things unfold a certain way. And recognizing or kind of going with those opportunities as they come up can be pretty challenging. Because it's not always obvious that it's leading us towards what we've asked for, what we're hoping for. And sometimes it can lead us through further difficulties, but it's setting us up for what we need down the line. So I guess next I'd like to share sort of how to tell things are getting better or that you're going the right way. I feel like it's very easy to know when things are wrong or to recognize what's bad. And sometimes because of that focus, we don't even see the good things happening for us or how things are moving in the right direction. And so we can kind of miss those markers. What I found, again, observing myself, observing others, is that when things are working, you're doing manifestation work or magic and ritual or receiving healings or working with the law of attraction. When you're moving in the right direction and it's working, a big thing is that all the little inconveniences and things that go wrong become fewer. I'm sure at least some of you, if not most of you, can relate to things being unnecessarily difficult every step of the way in life. You know, every day, all day, or maybe for some of you it's just specific situations like in your love life or just in your career, just in your health. All these, you know, that saying if it can go wrong it will, or everything's just far more difficult than it needs to be, like you're always dropping things, or there's always misunderstandings, or just, you know, constant inconvenience. When you're moving in the right direction and the healing is happening, those things happen less and less. So at first it may not even necessarily be good things happening or obvious positive events. It may be just at first fewer negative things occurring, having fewer bad days or moments and more okay ones. But that's the beginning of it. And I remember when that happened to me, and I was so grateful, because it can really wear you down emotionally and psychologically and in your faith when everything goes wrong every second of every day. So even just the negative subsiding, I feel, is a big deal and is a sure sign that it's working, so to speak. And then, of course, more good things happening is an indication of things getting better, things becoming easier, which is sort of a natural side effect of things being less difficult. Things are less needlessly difficult. Things are slightly easier. There's less obstacles. Another thing is if people are always like needlessly rude or hostile towards you, that's a problem, of course, but you'll find that that happens less often. And there's like a certain point where people actually start being nice to you or are going out of their way to be kind to you. Or you get like nice little surprises, like it could even be as simple and like as unrelated to yourself as you're somewhere ordering a coffee and they have an extra one Or like you go with a friend to order coffee and you don't order one because you can't afford it. And then at the pickup window, they have an extra one that wasn't picked up and it's your favorite drink. And they just give it to you for free. That actually happened to me and it's pretty good. Or people in your life suddenly like being gradually nicer to you. It's not usually dramatic. It's just like the slow shift that occurs. And it's really great, especially when you've experienced so much of the opposite. People being obstacles at every turn and that shifting. And then it can increase from there where it's like people you know who are like neutral or negative, that improvement happening. And the pauses are just me looking for like how I want to articulate something. Sometimes it can get to the point where really big things start to happen for you, medium to big things, and good things can happen out of the blue, and people can choose to be exceptionally generous towards you. So this is sort of like traveling along the scale of being out of alignment versus slowly moving yourself into a better place energetically and doing that kind of work. It's popular to say that, you know, have the intention, but you still need to do the work. It's like, I don't know that that's 100% true. Obviously, if you don't create opportunities for manifestation, you may wait longer, but I have experienced large sums of money, opportunities, etc., dropping out of the blue, like them finding me. So again, don't want to limit all these. Everything I'm sharing are just my observances. Things can happen out of the blue for you. Money can drop out of the sky. People can suddenly do a 180 and treat you completely differently. And it starts with working on yourself. And there's not one way to do that. There are several good methods, whether you choose magic, law of attraction, energy healings, or whatever else. You manifest your state of being. And so that's where the work needs to happen. For me, it began by focusing on root chakra work. For people I've worked with, it's been healing their destiny path, clearing away parasites and other negative things, lifting curses. All these things can just hinder things. Sometimes you just need to remove what doesn't belong in your aura, and that's all you need to move into alignment. Sometimes it requires a little more stretching of the self and growing as a person. And of course, it's important to be willing to kind of go with the flow, because you can do the affirmations and receive the healings and have the vision boards or whatever method you're using. They're all means to an end, by the way, like to putting yourself in a state of being. You don't need anything. Most of us need the help, though. If you're not truly open to the idea of life can be something different for you, and you can be something or someone different, then it's going to be a little more difficult to shift. So your level of openness and ability to kind of turn it over to the universe or surrender has an influence as well. And it really does play into like a lot of what I feel are cliches when we talk about law of attraction or manifestation, but they're so true. And it's been interesting working on this for myself and doing this work with others, seeing and knowing the truth in those phrases that are passed around all the time. And so I suppose it can't be emphasized enough how much it all plays a part. So those are just what was on my mind at the moment, and I thought I would share that. Allow yourself the time and stick with it. Consistency is the most important thing when it comes to manifesting what you want, the life you want, who you'd like to be. If you are able to keep putting forth that effort, even if sometimes you fail, or you don't hold up your habits, or you have a negative tailspin, it's all fine. Just return to the work and keep going as best as you can. And you will see the changes. You just have to be willing to stick at it. So my loose average is about 8 months from when you first take it up. Or if you've been doing it and you're kind of not sure about it, consider today day one. And be willing to stick it through, even especially when it's very difficult, when bad things are happening, when you're frustrated, feel hopeless, and like nothing is fair and the world's against you. Faith doesn't mean holding on to your beliefs and practices when things are working out. It especially means doing it when there's no evidence to support what you're doing. So it's having the faith to persist in this type of work, whatever method you're using, in spite of all the evidence of your past experiences and even the evidence of everything around you in the present moment, and choosing to believe in something better for yourself. And in that something better that's already inside of you. I would say that's the most important thing. Just taking a moment, thinking if I want to add anything. My house is on a corner, so there's a lot of car sounds in the background. I'd love to hear about your experiences, your successes, your struggles in the comments, if you'd like to share them. Not just because I find it interesting and educational, and I appreciate you sharing of yourselves with me, but also for the other people watching this right now or who come across this video later. You never know how what you share may help another person gain insight into themselves or add to whatever is being said in the video. So there's that. I guess the other thing is that if you're employing a healer to help, obviously, let's assume you're working with someone you trust, the energy's really great, and it's fine. Allowing time for that healing to show results. Maybe if things aren't immediately better the next day, it doesn't mean that it didn't work. Some of the things can be very subtle. Frequently there's immediate results, but sometimes it sets into motion like a domino effect where you don't really notice the change until months later. Obviously, it's a little hard to tell people that when they're paying for a session. It's like, well, they're like, when can I expect to see such and such change? It's like, well, assuming that you surrender to the process and you go and flow with the healing and you allow the changes to take root within you, it could be days, weeks, months. It depends on all the nuances of your situation. Understandably, that's it can be a little tough to wait. So I don't think of law of attraction or manifestation or magic as a quick fix. It's definitely a lifestyle, and you'll get the big results if you kind of commit to the idea of working on that essentially forever. It feels tedious at first, but it'll come more naturally with time. I feel like there's something else I was thinking about earlier that I wanted to share. So I've been trying to remember what that was. I guess the last thing I like to add is just to try to be more present and to look at things from a greater scope. I feel like some of what I'm going to say is a bit counter to itself. But what I was thinking about is that sometimes with the things I see those around me struggling with, it's like living with only seeing this far, like to the end of your nose, or everything being so immediate and being very emotionally reactive. And that there's such an enormous feeling of being trapped in that way and not having genuine freedom of choice, because everything's just happening here all the time. There's not really space within a person to breathe and think about things and ask themselves the questions of, is this healthy? Is this how I want to live the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years of my life? To think about your own life, perhaps in a greater context. A life is too long for many of the struggles that we sometimes invite into our lives. And unless we decide to disengage or change them, that they'll persist. The situation will persist. On the other hand, sometimes we may do this to distract ourselves from our more immediate and real problems, or there's lots of reasons. We may focus on the broader aspects of spirituality, such as what's happening in the world, or thinking about our past lives or other things. And I feel it would be more helpful to kind of sort yourself as an individual first. And that is the best thing you can do for the world. Well, for most of us. So kind of address your psychology first, and any patterns you have in a psychological way, wounds and so on. Find someone to support you through that. I'll probably post about this later, but a therapist that practices ACT, DBT, or CBT are very helpful. Those are specific tools to empower you to deal with all the difficult feelings, so you're in control of you. You're not being ruled by your emotions. And I feel that this is related to manifestation work, because if you're not in control of yourself, then it's very hard to exert any influence over your reality beyond yourself, because it's all, in a way, it's an extension of you. The other people and the world respond to your energy. And the easiest way for you to affect your energy is through psychology. Of course, you don't have to wait on addressing spiritual things or practices until you've done that work. I feel that it's just good to include it. And that sometimes diving into things like psychic abilities or certain aspects of spirituality, if one doesn't have a strong sense of self, can be incredibly psychologically destabilizing and can do more harm than good without that support or those foundations on, you know, what to do when you come across something or you experience something and you panic or go into a spiral or it triggers something in you. And so it's just advice for the road ahead. I think, so this is all just a bit of a free thinking things I've thought about while sitting outside today that I thought I'd share. And I kind of like maybe not overthinking what I'm going to say too much. So I hope that this has been helpful or insightful to someone. And maybe I'll talk to you guys in this manner more. So have a wonderful day, everyone. And I'll see you all again soon.